Welcome back to Old Coin Adventures. Two ordinary-looking US coins could be hiding something most people would completely miss. One is a 2006 Lincoln cent, and the other is a 1972 quarter. But here's where it gets interesting. A rare detail, an unusual error, or an exceptional condition can completely change what collectors think these coins are worth. And the biggest mistake you can make is looking at them for only a few seconds and spending them without knowing what you have. In this video, we'll examine both coins closely, uncover the rare features collectors are watching for, and reveal what could make one of these coins worth far more than its face value. So stay with me, because by the end, you'll know exactly what to look for before these coins disappear from your collection. And don't leave yet, because we're going even further. By the end of this video, you'll know what these two coins could actually be worth, what similar examples have sold for at auction, and where you can safely sell one if you discover something valuable. I'll also show you how to avoid common coin selling scams, misleading offers, and unnecessary losses when dealing with buyers. Because finding a valuable coin is only half the story. Knowing how to sell it safely is just as important. So before you decide that these are just ordinary coins, stay with me until the end, because one small detail could change the entire story. Now let's take a closer look at the 1972 Washington quarter. At first, this coin may look like an ordinary 25-cent piece. But 1972 quarters are worth a much closer inspection because certain mint-made errors can turn an ordinary-looking quarter into a much more interesting collector coin. And the first thing you need to understand is that not every unusual-looking mark is a valuable error. That's where many people make a mistake. They see doubling, a strange line, or an unusual shape and immediately assume they've found a rare coin. But real errors have specific characteristics. One of the most exciting possibilities is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't positioned correctly when the dies strike it. Instead of the design being perfectly centered, part of the design is pushed toward the edge, leaving an obvious blank area on the opposite side. And here's something important. The date should remain visible. A dramatic off-center strike with the full date clearly showing can be much more interesting to collectors than a minor shift that is barely noticeable. Another error worth watching for is a wrong planchet strike. This is where the wrong metal blank accidentally enters the quarter press. Imagine a quarter design being struck onto a blank that was actually intended for another denomination. The result can look completely different from a normal quarter. The size, weight, edge, and appearance can all provide important clues. This is why having a small digital scale can be extremely useful when searching through your coins. A normal 1972 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If your coin is significantly different from that, don't immediately assume it's valuable, but don't ignore it either. An unusual weight can be a reason to investigate further. You should also examine the edge. A normal clad quarter has a copper-colored layer visible along the edge. If that appearance is dramatically different, especially when combined with an unusual weight or size, the coin deserves a much closer examination. Another possibility is a clipped planchet. This happens when the metal strip used to produce coin blanks is improperly punched, leaving a portion of the coin missing. The result can be a curved or straight-looking section where the normal circular edge isn't complete. But again, not every damaged coin is a clipped planchet. Damage that happens after the coin leaves the mint can create shapes that look similar. That's why genuine mint errors need to be examined carefully. And then there are die breaks and cut errors. These happen when part of the die becomes damaged or breaks during the minting process. The broken area can create a raised, unusual area on the finished coin. Large and dramatic examples can attract much more collector attention than tiny die cracks. So, if you're holding a 1972 quarter right now, don't just look at the date and put it away. Look at the entire coin. Check the date. Study Washington's portrait. Examine the lettering. Look around the rim. Then turn the coin over and inspect the eagle, the lettering, and the edge. And if something looks unusual, compare it carefully with a normal 1972 Washington quarter. This is where magnification becomes extremely useful. A small 10 times loop can help you see details that your eyes might completely miss. But here's another important warning. You may come across people online claiming that every 1972 quarter with slight doubling is a valuable double die error. That's not something you should accept automatically. Some 1972 quarters show forms of common die or machine doubling that don't carry the same premium as a genuine major variety. The difference can be subtle, which is why professional attribution matters when serious money is involved. And now we come to the question you've probably been waiting for. How much could a 1972 quarter actually be worth? The answer depends heavily on what you found. A normal circulated 1972 quarter is generally just worth its face value. A high-grade example can bring more from collectors, but a genuine mint error can move into a completely different category. For example, documented 1972 quarter error guides report that dramatic off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and other major mint mistakes can bring substantially more than face value. And some exceptional 1972 quarter errors have reached into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the exact error, condition, authentication, and collector demand. Now let's turn our attention to the 2006 Lincoln Cent. At first glance, this tiny 1-cent coin may look completely ordinary, but there's a particular detail on some 2006 Lincoln Cents that can make collectors stop and take a much closer look. And this is not just a random scratch or a mark caused by circulation. We're talking about a genuine double die variety. One of the most interesting examples is known as the 2006 FS 101 double die obverse, and the most famous clue is found right on Lincoln's ear. Look closely at the lower part of Lincoln's ear. On a normal 2006 Lincoln Cent, the earlobe has a single, natural shape. But on the FS 101 variety, you can see a distinct secondary rounded lobe, creating what collectors often call the doubled ear. And that's the detail you don't want to overlook. The doubling can also show up in other areas, including the date, Lincoln's beard, and the lettering. The word Liberty is another area worth examining closely. But here's where you need to be careful. Not every coin that appears doubled is a valuable double die. Machine doubling can create a flat, shelf-like appearance that may look exciting at first, but it is very different from a genuine double die. A true double die creates a second design image as part of the die itself. That means the same distinctive doubling appears on coins struck from that particular die. So if you're searching through your 2006 Lincoln Cents, don't just look for anything that appears blurry or doubled. Focus on the shape and structure of the doubling. Pay particular attention to Lincoln's ear, the date, and Liberty. A 10 times loop can make these details much easier to examine. And there is another important point. The 2006 Lincoln Cent was produced in enormous numbers. So the date alone does not make the coin rare. What makes the FS 101 interesting is the specific double die variety, especially when you combine it with strong condition and attractive original color. That's where the value can begin to change dramatically. A normal circulated 2006 Lincoln Cent may be worth only its face value. But a genuine FS 101 double die example can be worth much more, depending on its condition and certification. PCGS has a separate listing for the 2006 FS 101 double die obverse, confirming that this is a recognized die variety. And there are real auction results behind the value. A PCGS graded MS66 red example of the 2006 FS 101 sold for $480 at Heritage Auctions in August 2021. Another certified example sold for $252 in November 2023, showing that auction prices can vary depending on the exact coin, grade, and market demand. So don't assume that every 2006 double ear cent is automatically worth hundreds of dollars. The exact variety and condition matter. Now, if you believe you found one, where can you sell it? For a normal circulated coin, a local coin dealer may be the easiest option. But if you believe you found a genuine FS 101 in strong condition, getting it authenticated and professionally graded first can make a major difference. A certified coin can be sold through an established coin dealer, a reputable online numismatic marketplace, or a major auction house. For a genuinely rare and high-grade example, an established auction house can put the coin in front of serious collectors who understand what they're buying. But there's one rule you should always remember. Never accept a price simply because one buyer tells you that it's the best offer. Get more than one opinion. Compare recent completed auction sales for the same variety and grade, rather than comparing your coin with random online asking prices. And be especially careful if someone contacts you claiming that your coin is worth an unbelievable amount, but then asks you to pay a registration fee, insurance fee, verification charge, shipping fee, or any other advance payment. That is a major warning sign. A legitimate buyer should not require you to send money first just to receive your payment. Never give a stranger your banking password, PIN, OTP, or other security information. And don't scan a QR code just because someone claims it will send money into your account. Before selling, take clear photographs of both sides of the coin, keep records of the buyer's offer, and make sure you understand exactly how and when you'll be paid. Most importantly, don't clean the coin before selling it. Don't polish it, don't use chemicals, and don't try to make the surfaces look newer. Cleaning can damage the original surface and may reduce collector interest.